get everything set up now, decided to use my 1978 Princeton Reverb. I got that a number of years ago and fixed it up, replaced the electrolytics. It had some non-stock speaker in there, so I put Eminence Red Fang 10-inch in there, which sounds a bit like a Celestian Blue, because I like just that little bit extra mid-range. The Princeton, of course, a great pedal platform, and it's got a little bit more mid-range than your normal like blackface amps. So I thought it would be a good amp to just demo the pedal board through, and probably will use it in future demos as well because it's a familiar sound to a lot of people. My pedal board would be used with any of the amps that I have, obviously, you know, from Princeton to like Top Hat and Plexador, depending on you know, if I'm the sound or the volume needed for playing. So this is my main live guitar, Fender Partcaster, maple neck, shallow locking tuners, all parts, alder body, got Callahan bridge, and Tom Short country coil, no, not country coils, vintage coils, I think he called them, like hand wound single coils, and a Seymour Duncan humbucker in the bridge, which I think this is a custom 59 hybrid pickup with an Alnico magnet, and then the wiring's custom as well. We've got a super switch. This tone control only affects the neck position, and the bridge tone control only affects the humbucker and the bridge position. And you know, it's neck, middle. In the middle, I have a coil from the bridge and the neck together for more of a telly-like sound. It's a lot more useful to me than, say, a Strat middle pickup. Just one coil on this from the bridge for this guitar, and then the bridge humbucker. So let's see here. Just straight to the amp. That's just the fourth position there. That middle with the coil from the bridge and the neck. Princeton's running pretty low volume. It's totally clean. All right, so here's how it's wired up. I have the guitar coming into the wah pedal, which is a Wilson 12-position vintage wah. And then Sonic Research Turbo Tuner ST300, which I just swear by. It's the greatest tuner I've ever used. I have the older version on my smaller pedal board. From the tuner, it goes out all the way to the looper. Looper goes out to the Big Sky. Those first three are true bypass, and the Big Sky I am running in a buffered mode so that you can have a longer cable run back to the amp. For right now, I don't have any reverb from this on. If there's a little bit of reverb, it'll be coming from Valhalla Vintage Verb in Logic, just to give a slight stereo-ness to the sound, because it's a little bit boring to listen to it just a mono as you would playing guitar out live somewhere. All right, so philosophy is this. I have two loops. The pedal board, the first loop, other than the pedals we already mentioned, is basically all this stuff. That's loop 1. And this is all loop 2. And you can see they kind of have all the effects in each loop, so I can switch between having one, a rhythm and the lead, and I can swap it depending on my needs. So there's a lot of versatility. If a pedal in loop 1 or a cable goes bad, you know, mid-song or something, I turn off the loop and go to loop 2, and I keep going. So it's been great. I've had a couple times where there's been, you know, something that went wrong and you don't have time in mid-song to figure it out. So this is kind of a safety, and allows me to keep going without any break. So with a loop 1 here, it comes to a homemade fuzz face. I've got a bunch of homemade fuzz faces, germanium and silicone. This is a silicone one that uses a BC108 and a BC183 with a bias control. Also can change the input cap from a full fuzz face sound to a tighter, more like a analog man sun face sound. Cali 76 is usually on all the time for this first loop. It's clean, it's transparent. The Bogner Lagrange usually have kind of two different settings for it. The setting that it's in right now, I'm able to use it in conjunction with the fuzz face, and so you're playing, you know, a clean Fender amp, or if you play like a backline amp, you know, whatever they give you, a twin or a you know, one of those hot rod DeVilles or something, you can kind of simulate the tonal structure of a Marshall and having your fuzz face going into it, even with a clean amp like this little Princeton here. And then the other setting is more of a harder, you know, like a medium high gain rock sound. Ethos, again, very versatile. Usually have it set up for a lead, like a lower gain lead for the rhythm, this rhythm loop here. That goes to the Mobius for Univibe, chorus, flanger, tremolo. That's the stuff that I use the most out of it. Maybe a little bit of phaser, but usually not. And then a timeline. And I have various delays. I'll show you set up on that. And then the Neo Ventilator 2, which is the most accurate sounding Leslie simulator by far on the market. And sounds really great, both on keys and on guitar. The loop comes back to the looper, and then the loop 2 comes out, and it's, again, its own mini setup here. So I've got a Boss compressor, which in comparison to the Cali 76, the Cali 76 is really, they're both sweet sounding, but the Cali 76 is clear and transparent. And this is like quite the opposite. It really colors your tone and sounds great if you're using this into an overdrive for playing leads. So I have that set up differently. MXR Phase 95 in the Phase 90 script mode is where I use it the most, with a pretty slow sweep. Kingsley Minstrel vacuum tube overdrive. I swapped out the tube for something fancy and I don't remember what it is now. All this darn synthesizer stuff I've got into is taking the memory space I have for my guitar equipment. And then it goes into a homemade lead overdrive that's high gain, similar in the circuit layout as, say, a Rat pedal, but it's quite modified. It's got a lot more low end. I've got a clipping switch on here that'll take you from like a big, softer, low gain sound to smooth, compressed lead tones. Like up here, it's clipping J-Fets. And then into the deco for like tape flanging, and the saturation side I use for a light overdrive, and it sounds really good. On out to the lead delay, which is Deluxe Memory Man 1100 tap tempo. This is the original version with the Panasonic chips, and it sounds really good. In fact, I've had, I think, 4 Tonzar Echozars, and this is actually what I ended up keeping. It just fit my needs better, but those are really great sounding too. So I really value this. And goes to the looper again, and then the reverb is at the end, outside of the loops, just like the tuner and the wah. And can be used with either, because I usually run just a little bit of light reverb on stuff, and then when I switch loops, you don't get the tail of that cutting off. All right, let me play through some of this here. Just my dry, clean tone. And the Wilson wah is pretty versatile as far as it's set up. I mean, you can give it more bass, change the Q on it, change the frequency range. And let's go to the first loop here. Okay, so first loop, you know, can set it up to be a rhythm and lead between the two loops, and you can swap the order. Do you want loop 1 to be rhythm or lead? Generally, I run loop 1 as a rhythm loop and loop 2 as the lead loop. So usually always have the Cali 76 on. And just right away, like one of the cool actually lead sounds would be to have timeline for delay. And then I'm going to use the Bogner as like a Marshall simulation and have my fuzz face. Sounding. Love that. The other way that I like to use this a lot would be so you have about a Van Halen level of overdrive on there. So it's not so saturated that you can't roll down. The Ethos, of course, is very versatile. The clean channel on it, actually, you can just set up as an EQ, like if you just want to change your tone, either with clean or overdrive. I mainly use the overdrive side of it. It's very touch sensitive, so you can just by working the controls on the guitar. And so you've got the Mobius here, so a lot of chorusy sounds. You know, having a tap tremolo is pretty nice. Different types of phalanges. Harmonic tremolo. Take this back here. And for the timeline, just a standard, you know, warmed up digital delay. And love this modulated delay sound. And sometimes you can have stuff set up. Let's see. I guess like that. I have the extra switch set up for looping if I want to use that. And then of course the ventilator. And that's the first loop. And the second loop, so compressor, here's the minstrel overdrive. Apologize if these aren't leveled too well. I'm just, you know, really just set things up here. So just like a tube amp breaking up, or you can add a little bit of compressor for a nice lead tone. So fat, love using it for solos. And have kind of a lighter. So I might use something like that if I say have my rhythm loop here set up for a lead sound, and then be able to have this loop 2 as a rhythm. And then basically on out to the amp. And so I will often, let's see here. So say for a lead tone, commonly I use a compressor, my lead overdrive, and a delay. And let's say for, well here, let's just do something that's a little bit more out there. And so say with this rhythm loop, you've got something a little more complicated going on, multiple pedals going. And rather than stomping 3 different things on and off and then stomping another 3 things on, I've got it set where I can hit both of these foot switches on the looper at the same time. So you can make a transition from, you know, say, so just playing along there with, you know, whatever your rhythm sound is here. Maybe it'd be dirty rhythm. And switch back and forth with them and have them preset, so it makes playing live a lot easier. Now, if you're just recording at home, you don't really need all that fanciness. I usually will just set up things how I want them. Now, one thing is with the Bogner Lagrange, if I need something that's higher gain and I'm not going to use my Soldano or the Mesa Boogie, those which channel switchers I usually use with a Fractal FX8. If I'm using this big pedal board and need something more versatile, I have the Bogner Red Ecstasy Mini that sounds really good. Like it better than the big one, and I can just swap it out here. It makes it easy. And then again with the fuzz pedals, if I'm going to use my Analog Man Sunface or one of my other, you know, half dozen fuzz pedals that I built, easy to swap it in and out. If I got silicone going, and maybe I want a germanium sound, swap it out for a recording or whatever, just because I want to play with one. So anyways, that's the basics of how this is set up. And, again, things swap out quite a bit. Probably a little bit less now since I've been playing a lot more synth. But it's, this setup has been basically the same. Pedals come, pedals go. This kind of rig philosophy has worked for me really well, and I've enjoyed it. It's been something that's easy for me to use live. I don't have to think about it a lot. I can preset stuff. If things go wrong, I have ways to go around it, and that's pretty easy. So anyways, I think this is my first guitar video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know there's a lot of people that have been mentioning that they're also guitarists. You know, I'm a guitarist first, and then I have gotten into synthesis more recently. So this is where, you know, this is where I've worked and spent a lot of years as a musician, and I'm really enjoying the synthesizer. But I think as a first guitar video, I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and there'll be more to come. If you have questions about my rig or how I use it, in fact, I'll also just show you my small pedal board here for a second. Put this down. See if I can do this on the tripod. And this is the pedal board I actually been using a lot lately for playing guitar. And it's got a similar philosophy with the loops here. And I'll play this for you sometime, but again, you know, same main stuff. One of these will probably be used, not both, if I play out, and I'll put a phaser or something in place there. But pretty versatile. Another homemade overdrive, different style lead. And everything else is pretty self-explanatory. Home built con for boosting. And that's about it. So hope you guys enjoyed it.